Today we are continuing the conversation about barriers to care for minorities. Today we will talk to people who are diagnosed and caregivers, mainly focusing on the diagnosis of schizophrenia spectrum. Zahara was not able to be here today, but she asked me to share some words with you. She found this really great analogy on the NAMI website from the disparities within minority health care article. It says, have you ever tried to unlock a door that wouldn't open? At first you think you might be doing something wrong. Maybe there is a trick to it. Pull the key back a little, but it doesn't work. You remove the key, then nothing works. You keep trying and the door stays locked. After a while, you realize the problem isn't you. It is the key. This is what it's like for minorities trying to access mental health care. And this is her diagnosis story. This story is from Zahara, who is giving the perspective of a minority and African-American woman. First time in the hospital, I was diagnosed with gastritis because I abused prescription drugs and drank alcohol unsafely. The next time I was diagnosed with anorexia because I developed a fear of food in my stomach. After that, later, I was diagnosed with agoraphobia with paranoid schizophrenia type manic depression, which was when I was evicted. I couldn't control my life. I was untreated from 2003 to 2009. In 2009, I joined the clubhouse. I went to the doctor. I let them know I was needed to be tested for thyroid problems, which was showing up with the schizophrenia symptoms. They wouldn't listen and gave me Invega. I felt the medicine caused side effects and symptoms of schizophrenia, thought processing, and thought insertions. There was a situation in my life which my agoraphobia acted up, and I was attacked and developed a delusional theme that the person was stalking me. I went to court. He was told by the judge not to come near me, and I believed he was stalking me through the computer system. I started researching schizophrenia, and then I was diagnosed with schizophrenia paranoid for having thought disorders. My final diagnosis is schizoaffective disorder. SA support groups have helped me keep it all together from a world of brokenness. I am challenged with new experiences each day. I wake up and thank my higher power for the chance to get it right. So Grace and Ishmael, what has been your experience in finding care with the diagnosis of schizophrenia? Do you feel like your community has supported you in finding treatment? And what barriers have you experienced as a minority? Grace, you want to get started?
Okay. I had schizoaffective probably from when I was 21, but it took about 10 years to actually get the diagnosis correct. I was first diagnosed with depression, and then depression with psychotic features, and finally in 2009, I think they decided it was schizoaffective disorder. Let's see. It was just really hard to get an accurate diagnosis. In terms of my community, my mom's very supportive of me getting care, and she was always trying to help as much as she could. I know that in other Asian communities, there's a lot of shame in trying to get any kind of mental health care, and there's a lot of superstition, but my mom's very science-based, so that really helped. I think the hardest part of getting care was convincing the ER when I went into the ER that I needed to stay and be an inpatient, but that's not necessarily a minority health barrier.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one thing with trying to find a culturally diverse doctor, like an Asian American doctor, that's kind of hard. So.
Okay, and I didn't ask this before, but how do you think that reclassification is going to make the barriers less or improve things?
I think it'll really help that people realize that it's a brain illness, and the doctors would have more, I guess, leeway to admit people, I think.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Grace. Ishmael, what about you? Do you want me to read the questions over again or?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the questions are, what has been your experience in finding care with a diagnosis of schizophrenia? Do you feel like your community has supported you in finding treatment? What barriers have you experienced as a minority?
My name is Ismail, although my friends call me Ish. I have been a member of Fresh Start Clubhouse for 5 years. I came here with my colleagues Summer and Rachel. In addition, I was an Uber driver and have successfully driven with Uber for 33 weeks, a little over 8 months. As a member of Fresh Start Clubhouse, I understand my fight with mental illness. What I would like to see happen is the implementation of CIT, Crisis Intervention Team, programs in order to recognize and to de-escalate mental health crisis. What happened? I was a student at the University of Michigan College of Engineering, and I successfully graduated. It was a miracle I graduated. Long story short, I felt depressed because it took all of my energy to perform in school. Basically, I was burnt out my last semester and the degree program I chose was difficult to sustain. I was able to work for General Motors for 6 months. At work, I isolated in front of a computer and was experiencing hallucinations. My sister and mom helped me get admitted to University of Michigan Hospital due to the fact that my sister is a doctor and my mom is a nurse. What helped? With the help of a psychiatrist who diagnosed me with schizophrenia, I found my way back again. I will always remember her telling me that having schizophrenia did not mean life was over. She gave me hope. How am I different today? Today, I am proud to have worked as an Uber driver and volunteering with Fresh Start Clubhouse. Today, I claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection, rather than religious perfection. Do you feel like your community has supported you in finding treatment? 1 in 4 people living in the United States of America have mental illnesses like mine, but not everyone has the support of his or her family. What will help others? I need to feel connected. The mental health system in Southeast Michigan, helps me get connected to the resources I need, such as psychiatric counseling and medication, which is so vital to my survival. My ask, it has taken 10 years to get on the right medications through trial and error. Alhamdulillah, all praise be to God. I have not been in the hospital for paranoid schizophrenia in over 13 years. I am 43 years of age and would like to have the ability to see resources not taken away. I ask that you please support mental health treatment and other interventions that would divert people with mental illnesses away from arrest and incarceration.
And how do you think, I'm sorry, did I interrupt? I apologize.
What barriers have you experienced as a minority? So I had a bad interaction with the University of Michigan campus public safety. It began on a day when I was not feeling well and paranoid, and I had to go to the emergency room. I knew where to go, and that was the psychiatric emergency room. I drove myself from the community mental health office in Ann Arbor to the psychiatric emergency room at the University of Michigan Hospital. My psychiatrist knew I was paranoid after he had evaluated me, although he was not sure if I needed to be admitted. He was not sure that in addition to having paranoid symptoms, that I was going to harm myself or others. He instructed me to go to psychiatric emergency and to be evaluated. I told the nurse at the psychiatric emergency room what my intentions were to not be admitted. She told me, "You are going to be admitted and that you have no choice in the matter." I said, "I need to be evaluated before being admitted because I am not suicidal. So I am going to call my psychiatrist and ask what he would like me to do." She said, "Okay." I left the emergency room lobby from her and walked just inside the turnabout near the street entrance about 20 feet because there was no cell phone reception in the emergency room. As I was on the phone, she called campus public safety because I could see whom they were. 6 officers got out of the police security SUV and told me to drop the phone. They rushed me to the floor. My cell phone rose up in the air. They tackled me. I did not swing a punch, although I wasn't hurt. Mentally, I was scared of them. They put me in a holding cell for about 10 minutes. I had no windows, and I urinated on myself out of fear for my future. A few weeks later, while I was visiting my mother, I received a piece of mail. It said that they were going to charge me with assault of an officer. This officer, who was seeking to punish me, forced my family to consult with a lawyer. My family paid $7,500 in legal fees. We went to court in Ann Arbor where a jury had assembled. In the courtroom, my sister had obtained the police video. After viewing the video for the first time, the prosecutor and officer said they did not want to continue with the proceedings because I did not hit them at all. I was relieved and torn at the same time. Looking back on the trial, I refused to take a plea deal. It would have meant pleading guilty, but that I would have my record cleaned after 1 year if I stayed out of trouble. My family and the lawyer wanted this, but I refused because I did nothing wrong. We went to court at least 3 or 4 times within a 6-month span before the case was dismissed.
Wow, that. I'm so sorry you went through that, and I see why you're, really promoting CIT. And can you explain what crisis intervention training is real briefly?
I'm done.
Oh, okay. 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 Well, thank y'all both so much for being here today and sharing your stories with me. I really appreciate this.